Alright guys, it has been a while since my last tier list video. So I'm going to be updating it. Since not only have quite a few towers gotten buffed and nerfed. Well, actually I'm not sure if that many towers really got nerfed. But anyway, it's time to get started with this. Alright, so this time, the tier list itself is a lot bigger. But that's just to make it a little bit easier to understand. Okay, so, Scout. You already know why it's an F tier. Okay, Sniper. Sniper, it's a pretty underrated tower. It's pretty good, but since it's only a beginner tower, it can't be that overpowered, but yeah, it's cheap and does pretty good damage. Also, no placement limit, so Paintballer. Self-explanatory. You guys already know why. Okay, Demo Man. C+ tier. Actually, I'm going to put him at the bottom of B- tier. It's not that bad, but can be better. Hunter. I'll be putting him at top, maybe top of B-. I'm not sure. But, yeah, it's pretty good. Soldier. Good for early game. Definitely much better than regular Scout, but it's just barely better than Sniper. Okay, Militant is actually a pretty good tower. Like, bottom of B+. Medic. I don't need an explanation. Like, I really don't need to explain why it's in... it, like, ranges right between, like, bottom of S- or at the very top of A+. But I'm just going to put her at the very bottom of S-. Okay, Freezer. Now, the Freezer just got a buff, so instead of it being in like F- tier, it is now in B+ tier. It's actually a pretty good tower now for freezing, especially at max level too. Plus, the grenade ability is pretty good. But if you have towers like the Frost Blaster, Cryomancer, which you probably already have the Cryomancer if you were around since the recent event, or Sledger, sorry, then there's not really much good reason to use this. Still good, but yeah. Farm. No explanation needed. Shotgunner. It's okay, but I mean, I like it, but I never use it. I never find a reason to use it. Military base. B tier. It's good start, good beginner tower, but nah. Okay, Rocketeer, I'm gonna have to put him in like very top of B+. It's super outclassed. Okay, Ace Pilot. I'm putting him in A+, mainly because of how cheap he is. But targeting is terrible, so I can only place him in A+. Pyromancer. Probably at B+ or A-. Nah. Oh, wait. Yeah, I'm putting him in A-. Like, maybe, like, somewhere in between. Okay, Crook Boss. Recently got a buff, so it's in bottom of A-. It's good. It's definitely really pretty good for early and mid-game, but it's... because of the fact that it's really bad for late game still, that's why I can't place it any higher. Okay, Electroshocker. I'm going to put him in S tier. He's really good for stunning crowds. You can stun it to like 8 zombies at once, which is especially effective if you're like trying to do something. Plus, it also slightly stuns bosses, although not by much. Okay, Commander. I don't think I need to explain. I really don't. Warden. S. Good damage, good fire rate. The damage and the fire rate is really good. Like, have you seen this thing shred bosses in Fallen and Molten? Like, you could even use it for Pizza Party. Like, just imagine. Warden spam, like, all across the path. That Walks does not stand a chance. He will get decimated. Okay, golden. Regular cowboy. Jeez. B+. Really bad for making money compared to farm. Not really bad, just bad. Okay, DJ Booth. Again, self-explanatory. 35% range boost and 20% discount. I really don't think there's any other more explanations. Okay, minigunner. A tier. By far A tier. It's so good for solo fallen. Plus, it's a generally good tower. If you just joined, get it while you can. I mean, get it as fast as you can. Not get it while you can. It's going to be in the game forever. Ranger. S. Actually, like S minus-ish. Normally, now, the damage itself got buffed, but the placement limit got nerfed a bit. Normally, I'd probably place it in like top of A tier, A+ tier, but because of the fact that it gives a 15% range boost, which also applies to DJ Booth permanently, basically, it's up here, but really only because of that reason. The turret. B+. Actually, A-. A-. Very bad placement limit. Mortar. S- tier. Actually, yeah, S-. Very good explosions. Very good explosions. Okay. Pursuit. Hear me out. S. You gotta admit, it's a really good tower. The targeting is bad still, but better DPS than the Ice Pilot. Like 10 times the price though. But it's really good. Okay, Accelerator. I really don't need an explanation for this. Engineer. I generally don't like the Engineer, but yeah, S-. The very top of S- though. Actually, wait. Don't the sentries have hidden detection? Yeah, they do. Just because of that, I'm putting her in S. That's the only reason why. Actually, there we go. Actually, no. It's not better than Pursuit. Golden Minigunner, definitely S tier. Definitely S tier. I really don't have to explain. Okay, Golden Pyro, S+, by far. Super good for crowd control. Actually, no. Right behind Excel, because Excel has better DPS. Okay, Crook Boss recently got Golden Crook Boss. Also recently got a good buff, so I'm gonna have to put him at the very bottom of S tier, or at the very top of S-. It ranges in between, but I'm just gonna put him in bottom S. Okay, Golden Scout, top of S, somewhere around the top of S-. Super good for early game. Okay, Golden Cowboy. I'll put him in A+ tier. Better for making money than the Cowboy, but still don't recommend using it over the farm. Unless you got like no other choice. Which oftentimes you do have more choices than that. Golden Soldier. Now, a lot of people keep debating which is better, Golden Scout or Golden Soldier. But, like, Golden Soldier, it might not be as good for early game, but it's better for mid game and late game. Plus, it has more uses for stuff like hardcore and pizza party and stuff. In fact, I even made my own personal hardcore strat to get Excel using Golden Soldier and regular Pyromancer. And it gives you like 300 gems an hour, which is pretty good. But if you want to get gems as fast as possible, use a Lucille hardcore strat. But if you want it to be as easy as possible, use this. I will make a video on the strat later, but just not now. Yeah, just hope you get Golden Soldier. Pretty good. Okay, Gladiator. Okay, the Gladiator got nerfed, but it's still really good. But I never use it, because now Golden Scout is better for early game than the Gladiator, and mid game. Gladiator is better for late game because of its max potential DPS. But basically, not only was there a shadow nerf where there was a animation on its Warrior's Call, but which couldn't make it attack for 2 seconds. But now the Pierce cap is now only 3. It used to be infinite, but now it's just capped to 3, which is really bad for certain maps. Okay, Commando. Yeah, sorry, Commando. You're not gonna. Okay, Slasher. Sorry. But no. Frost Blaster recently got one of the biggest buffs I've ever seen. From being like a D to F tier tower, now to S tier tower. Maybe even S+. It is now the best tower for freezing. Like, the absolute GOAT. Okay. Archer, pretty good. Pretty good piercing. Really only reason why I'm putting a B+. Swarmer. Now, the Swarmer is the tower that has probably received the biggest nerf because of a bug patch. And now it's like C- tier. Okay, Toxic Gunner also got a big buff in both DPS and slowdown. They haven't fully managed to fix it, but they fixed it enough for me to put him in S- tier. Okay, Sledger, hear me out. Hear me out. A+. Okay, I know. The DPS is like 10 times better than it was before. Sort of. But, you see, the Sledger, they reworked the freeze, which basically nerfed it. While the DPS itself is a lot better than it was before, the freeze doesn't last long enough for the Sledger to hit it a second time to get that critical damage. In other words, if you want to get that critical damage, you're going to need to use a tower like the Frost Blaster or the Freezer. Which is disappointing. Oh wait, whoops, made an error. Should be there. There we go. Okay, Executioner. I'm probably going to have to put him in, just right above the Ranger. Very good crowd control. Super good crowd control. Especially if you get seriously good RNG with the axe. Okay, Elf Camp. Hear me out. Hear me out. S-. Look, a lot of people... I honestly think the Elf Camp is pretty underrated. I get it that placement limit is only 2, but not only is this thing cheap as heck, but like... Okay, I'm not sure if this is like 100% correct. All I know is that on average, the Elf Camp does between 120 to 150 DPS on average. At max, it can be like 200 and above. At minimum, it can be like near 0. But like, a maximum potential DPS of like over 200 is amazing. At least if you're lucky enough. But I really doubt that'll happen. It has happened to me once before. Actually, no, it happened to my friend once before. Like, okay, yeah. Basically, he has health camp, and he placed down his 2 elf camps, and he also placed down some accelerators in the front that kept shredding all the enemies, so none of the elves could die. And when the elves plus the accelerators completely shredded everything. Although one of his elf brutes, ripped elves, died to a breaker. They seriously need to fix that bug. Like, God. Okay, Jester is now the best event tower in the game. You want to know why? Okay. So, number 1, confusion bombs. They can turn a zombie around for a short amount of time, including bosses. Which is why solo hardcore was actually possible. And why did the devs not nerf it? I don't know. I actually do not know why they haven't nerfed it yet. But Jester is so good. Like, maybe, like, put him right here. Like, that's how good he is. Honest to God. Also, the poison bombs. They do massive damage to crowds. The frost bombs are also pretty good for supporting freezes for, like, Frost Blaster and Freezer, because it makes it easier to freeze them. Because it already slows them by, like, 40%. So it doesn't take much for, like, the Freezer and Frost Blaster to freeze them. Although, at max level, Frost Blaster just insta freezes, so it doesn't really do much. But yeah. Okay. Necromancer. B+. I really hope they buff this thing. Actually, bottom of B+. It's decent. I don't know why I bought it. Okay, Cryomancer is going in, let's say S- tier. It's actually really good for crowd control freezing. It's similar to it functions similarly to the Frost Blaster in terms of crowd control, except both of them do piercing damage, but the Cryomancer functions more like the Pyromancer. The Frost Blaster fires out shots that function like the Archers. But because of the fact that the Frost Blaster can insta-freeze, while the Cryomancer takes a bit longer to freeze, that's why I'm putting him in S- here. Plus, just make sure that if you're using any of these freezing towers, do not, I repeat, do not use the fire bombs on the Jester or the Pyromancers. They will instantly melt the ice, which is really bad. Okay, well, that's the entire tier list. Do you guys agree with me? Leave your own opinions down in the comments. A lot of these towers have their own strengths and weaknesses. Except for like this entire section over here. They all just have weaknesses. But they're all good in their own way. Like the mortar is like towers like the Pyromancers, the mortar, and the not Demo Man. Towers like the Pyromancers and the mortar are extremely good for crowd control. The mortar because of its insane explosion radius, and Pyromancer due to its piercing damage. Some other towers are extremely good for support, like the DG Boost, Commander, or a lot of these freezing towers. Side note, the freezing towers do like no damage, so do not use them for damage. Use stuff like Golden Minigunner or Accelerator for damage. Anyway, that's the entire tier list. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. Thank you.